Okay, so now here's a missing requirement. I would like for you to use subheadings to organize your response, and I'd like everyone to use the same subheadings. So for this subheading, we're going to put my ordinary argument for item 3, okay? And then bold that, just like that, okay? So don't do anything else with the subheading. Don't bullet it, don't put it in parentheses, don't indent it, just like this. All right, then for extra credit, I've decided that this will be extra credit. Directly below your argument, you can provide the argument pattern. Your argument pattern has to be 100% correct for you to get any credit, so make sure you use your notes. The argument pattern for this, I'm going to unbold it, make sure that's not bolded. The argument pattern for this particular argument would be final conclusion that is followed by at least one premise. There's a bunch of premises, but I'm not going to put a bunch of P's for reasons I've already lectured on and iterated with video lecture and examples. And then I have a subconclusion followed by another subconclusion. And then I've got the FC repeated. So when you've got the FC repeated or a premise repeated, you do not say that again. Or am I misremembering something? I mean, I hope I didn't say that in the other videos, but you don't put anything that's repeated in this part. So we just do final conclusion, premise, subconclusion, subconclusion. If the final conclusion is repeated, so be it. Now, if in another video I happen to say something different, then let me know. I might give you some bonus points. All right, so then it just occurs to me that, why do a repeated statement in there? Okay, so now let's talk about the other heading. The other heading you'll want to do is the fully clarified version of my ordinary argument. So this is your argument markup, right? This is the markup of your ordinary argument, and then this is the reformatting with uniform language, repositioning of statements appropriately. That's what we're talking about when we use the heading fully clarified argument. Okay. And then if you want to, for extra credit, you can do an argument diagram. And you'll need to use a heading like this, argument diagram. So you can get up to 10 points of extra credit for getting your pattern 100% correct and for getting your diagram 100% correct. So then you're going to bold that. If you are not interested in doing the diagram, then you can stop the video. But if you are, then you need to continue to watch this video because I'm going to show you how to do a diagram online. Okay, so let's go ahead and get a general idea of how you do a diagram. I'm going to go ahead and use this as an example. So we have these 3 statements are directly supporting this statement. But as you know, we're supposed to use the statement numbers, right? So go back and look at your notes. You cannot use P1, P2 to do your statement labels. I have to go and find out what were the original statement numbers to do the diagram. So what were P1, P2, and P3? I have to find them in the original argument. So I have to find, see, there's one, held a pregnant woman. This is an act of treating her, so that's P2. And then this one's P3. So that was statements 5, 6, and 7. Supporting this one, he violated the dignity of a woman. 9. So 5, 6, and 7 were used to support statement 9. So let's do that. So you'll do statement 5, a premise. And I'm going to talk about arrows and underlining in a minute. Make sure you follow everything. If you're going for extra credit, you can use this for other like assignments. So S5 plus, again, I've already lectured on the generic things that we're doing in here, so I'm not going to repeat why we're doing things a certain way. Like plus signs and parentheses, you should already know that by now. Okay, so we're going to underline that. All right, so now, some people have figured out how to do an arrow, and if you can stick an arrow icon, that's fine. If not, you can just put a line, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. But notice how it's doing a line like that. You shouldn't have a line for your arrow. So you might have to go back up here and then click on this. So make sure you've done that. Now this has 3 statements that are working jointly together, so we need to put the arrow dead center. So instead of under the plus sign, it's going to go under the middle statement indicator. And as you can see, I just did a line. If you can figure out how to put an arrow there, awesome. If not, a line will be fine. Okay, so we know that's not all of the argument. So this helps me to see the structure of the argument. As I said, these statements are supporting this one, which turned out to be statement 9. So I need to go under here. And do care about your formatting, please. Subconclusion. Okay, remember what I said in the previous video, that this statement is functioning both as a what? A conclusion, but it also functions as a what? A premise. Okay, it's harder to see in this argument, but this is the case, and this goes with what I said about complex arguments. These 3 statements are given in support of this statement, but this statement is also used as support for this subconclusion in conjunction with these other ones. So as you can see, arguments can be much more complex and much messier than the ones we initially worked with. All right, so that one then works together with premises 4, 5, and 6. So now we have to go find those that had to do with the definition, being worthy of praise. These were more like general ideas. So we've got statement 3, statement 4, and statement what? So statement 3, statement 4. Did I mess up here? I think I did. So I have a woman at gunpoint, treated her as a means, dignity. So I need to go back up here to say, okay, he held a pregnant woman at gunpoint. That's statement 6. So statement 7 is, yes, statement 8. That's statement 8. I have this wrong. So this is actually, this should have been 6, 7, 8, and not 5, 6, 7. 6, 7. So as sometimes guys, I make mistakes, and this is why it's important to watch a video to its end, because yeah, I'm going to make mistakes. This is really great. I'm expressing intellectual humility. Also, I'm tired. And so when our brains are tired, we tend to make more mistakes. I'm a human being. But what I'm pointing out also is that make sure you're watching my videos all the way through in case I do correct a mistake. So really this should be statement 6, 7, and 8 are premises that function to support statement 9, right? And notice that I caught that when I was looking for these statements in the argument. This is about the definition, about who should be eulogized, and about losing the privilege of being honored and praised. And so where do we see that? Well, here's the definition: who should be eulogized, who should not be honored and praised. So those are statements what? 5, 6, and 7. So now, sorry, what am I doing? I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say statements 3, 4, and 5. I'm tired. Okay, so statement 3, a premise, plus statement 4, another premise, plus I did have insomnia last night. I apologize for that, but I have to push through because you guys need to know how to do this online. So now those are all working together. Remember, you have to get rid of the underline there. I shouldn't see that your arrow's underlined. So here, I'll put it needs to be dead center of that. So it'd be directly underneath the plus sign this time. That's just the way it happens to work out. And I already said that you should not put, like when you have this, you should not have the arrow over here or over here. It makes it look like you're saying just one of the statements is offered in support of. Okay, so we have in support of this one right here, this other subconclusion, he lost his privilege. So where did we say anything about losing the privilege? Right here, statement 10. So that is taken to, and I've got to get rid of that underlining. No, I don't have underlining at this point. So remember, this this argument pattern that we've just gone over and this argument diagram are specific to this argument. Don't think that your argument is going to have exactly the same outcome when it comes to the pattern in the diagram or the labeling. In fact, you might have a simple argument. But following all of this video is still useful because you have another example of a complex argument and how to work through it. And in fact, you should have a copy of the argument that we've been working on from a previous lesson. I should have told you to work on it by yourself first and then check your work, but keep this third argument that we've been working on as another example for your toolkit. All right, we know that this is not the end, so then we have George Floyd should not have been eulogized. Which statement was that? Yes, it was repeated at the end, but we crossed that version out, so we're gonna go with the most precise version of the final conclusion. That was statement 1. So then we're gonna do, there is no plus. It's simply S10 is taken to support. And again, notice how I'm trying to center stuff here. You wouldn't want your S10 coming out over here. That would just look odd. And then I have to center again. And then what comes here is S1, the final conclusion. So notice this, wow, this is some argument, very complex. And guys, the ones in philosophy and ethics are much more complex than this. But you have these 3 statements that function only as premises in direct support of this subconclusion. And that's why when we were reformatting, we noticed that, right? These 3 premises are in direct support of this subconclusion. Of course, here we're using statement numbers, not numbering premises. But then this subconclusion, then this conclusion, right, statement 9, or this statement right here, is also being used as a premise along with statements 3, 4, and 5 in support of statement 10, right, another subconclusion, and then it's taken to follow that, and then it's taken, or then it's presented that the statement made in the final conclusion follows from all of this. So this has 1, 2, 3 steps. This is a 3-step complex argument. Keep in mind what I said about argument diagrams and how you do those online if you're choosing to do that. Okay, go ahead and finish up your own argument clarification, your markup, and your reformat, so that you can move on to task 2.